All right. So milestone 3 is job retention and training. And it is a minimum of 2 weeks to bill for this service. You could go into your training longer and bill for it a little bit later, but you cannot bill for it earlier than 2 weeks. And also just to mention that this narrative report is going to be changed October 1st, but it's not very different from what you're seeing here. So nothing, no major change. But in the narrative report, you just basically put what's going on. So Jane is currently working at Home Goods on 280. She's part-time and she works 15 hours a week. She's an inventory associate in the back of the store, and her main workstation is putting together lamps to be put out on the sales floor. She makes 10 an hour and usually works 5 shifts. She seems to really be enjoying the job and the people she works with. And everyone I've had the opportunity to talk to says she's doing a wonderful job. As of May 28th, Jane has completed her milestone 3 job retention. So that just gives the counselor an idea of how long the retention was. And then at the bottom of that page, you would just put the employment specialist name and date. Okay. The next one is hours verification. We'll have to say that this one throws off the employment specialist a lot, but it's not too challenging once you get started doing it. So at the very beginning, at the top, you're just going to put the information as far as the consumer's name, their case ID number that's going to be on your authorization. And that is just the identifier for the consumer. And then you put how many hours they're working weekly, the employer name, the address, these kind of things. Now, scrolling down a little bit, or up, I guess, where it says week ending, that is week ending number 1. So the first week. So, you know, if it's like Monday through Sunday, that is what that column is incorporating, is a week. So the next column is the second week, and the third is a third, and so on and so on. So in this, it says hours worked. So how many hours did the consumer work? And in this case, she worked 15 hours that week. Okay, how many on-site hours was the job coach with her? So in this case, we were with her for 10 hours. Now off-site hours we have 2. So off-site hours could be like maybe talking to her manager on the phone about, you know, she needs to get her direct deposit form in, or it could just be talking to Jane, you know, after a shift where she had a really bad day, and we're kind of like, well, what happened, you know, and I'll come back out, you know, and help you, because we do try to start to fade. So I'm about to explain that, but employer visits. So how many times? So we were on site 10 hours. So how many times were we out there? We were out there 2 times, 2 times at 5 hours. So that's how that math works out. Now, on the second week, she still worked 15 hours. We were on site with her for 5 hours. We did off-site hours of 1 hour, and the visits that we did were 1. And I made this kind of simple for, you know, demonstration purposes. But the reason that you want to show fading, so that means week 2 should be a little bit less in most categories than week 1. Or if you go out to week 3 should be a little bit less than week 2. And that just means like we're not going as often, you know, we try to intense in the beginning, but the goal is to fade. And so that means this sheet, you need to show that you're kind of backing off on things. It might spike up, but if it spikes up, it needs the following week needs to go back down. a little bit. But this one can be a little confusing to people, but basically the main goal that I always say is that we need to be showing that we are providing the support, but also fading so that they can be competitive. Okay, if we'll go down a little bit. So those are all the weeks. I mean, like you can go to 20, but like I said, it's like 2 weeks to bill. Normally we have we've had up to 4 before just of the weeks there. Trying to get somebody established like on the job and everything. Okay. And then you put the employment specialist name down at the bottom and the date. The next one is extended services. This is what I've kind of hinted at, throughout, but you put the person's name, and the date completed would be when you're billing for milestone 3, when they're established on the job and you've started to fade out. You put the employer contact, you put the address. It says organization responsible for extended services. Well, that's going to be United Ability in this case, because for the next 90 days, we're going to be the ones that are going to be out there if she has, checking in just to checking in with the employers, but also going to address any concerns. Maybe she's hiding in the restroom or something. And so we need to go back out and kind of say, hey, they've noticed you've been hiding a little bit. Doesn't have to be that, it could be the break room or whatever. But if there's an issue, we go out and help over those 90 days. So we're the organization that's responsible for these extended services. The person with overall monitoring responsibilities, that would be the employment specialist. Then you put the rehabilitation counselor's name on there. Again, it asks for the employment specialist name, put that there. And then you put the phone number of the person responsible for extended services. Okay. Then you're going to identify the need. So Jane may need additional assistance when it comes to learning a new work task. So then you're looking to see, okay, what are the potential options that we could do? So Jane could ask her coworker, Zoe, who we've mentioned Zoe here, for assistance, or Jane will ask her employment specialist to come and job coach her on the new task. So then we say, okay, those are the options. Now, there could be multiple options. There can be more than that. But we ask what the next box, what the consumer's preference is. So in this case, she wants to ask her coworker first, somebody that she's, kind of bonded with there. And then if that doesn't work, then she wants to call her employment specialist for additional support. So just kind of reflecting to the first presentation, it's very individualized. We want to provide support that the individual wants from us. And so the primary support will be the next box underneath consumer preference. And the primary support in this case would be the employment specialist. And the backup support would be her counselor. So you list the counselor there. And then identification of funding sources, that would be ADRS. And as far as funding sources goes, it's that they are funding for the job coach. They're paying for the service for the job coach to complete this, but also it could be maybe she needs work shoes, or she needs black pants, she needs black belt, those kind of things. So those, so ADRS can, provide some help as far as making sure she retains this job. Okay, moving on to consumer job satisfaction. This is a form that you're going to print out and take it to the client to sign. So are you satisfied with your present job and the current support system that's in place, is the question that you're asking to Jane. And she'll put yes or no. if she puts no, you need to, of course, you want to have an explanation there. If she puts yes, you can move down to what do you like best about your job? Yeah, what do you like best? And it says, I like the people and I like making money. And is there anything that you don't like? And that's no. Now, I will say to this regard that if the consumer is not happy at this point, I mean, if they're really struggling and they put no, then you're not to bill this MS3 until the client is happy with their job. Because if you can't get to that point, then it might not be a good job fit for them anyway. I would say most of the time clients are happy because we spend a lot of time in the beginning making sure it's kind of the job, it's in line with their preferences and what they want to do. But you definitely need to get this, you need a yes before you turn this in. So we're going to go to the next one, employer evaluation. Same thing as far as getting a yes on this. It asks, are you satisfied with the employee's job performance at the present level of support? Now, they can mark yes and still have some things that they want to say about the employee. I know that the way the form reads, it says, if no, please check the areas that need improvement, but sometimes we've had yes and no per se. So, and this is the milestone 3. So you're not at completion. There's still time to work on things. So you're hoping for a yes from the employee, but you can also allow them to, mark some things about maybe like their appearance. Going down to the check boxes, like what are things that need to be improved? So maybe their work speed needs to be improved. Maybe social interactions, these kind of things. And then you would want to get a comment from the employer. Now, I made this example, so this would be most likely handwritten by the employer unless you decide to email it and they send it back. But for the most part, we're going to go out to the employer and get this signed. So it says, Jane's a great addition to our team. We really appreciate her hard work. And then you get the employer signature. And like I said, that's an example, but that would be signed. And just to reiterate, if they really are saying no at this point, then you'll need to go back to, how I said we could bill it in 2 weeks. Well, maybe not. You might need to go back and provide some more coaching. So, and, employer evals are one of those things, just throw it out there that like, sometimes you have to pin down that manager. You have to find them. And you want to find the person that's actually working with your client, because I know there's a lot of different managers, but to get true, good feedback, you want to find the one that's actually working with them. So that is milestone 3.
Ashley, we do have a couple of questions about milestone 3.
Yeah.
Ms. Jackie Johnson wants to know, at the beginning of milestone 3 form, should it be the consumer and case number or the consumer and social security number? Has that form changed at all?
Let me look back at the very first page. Are we talking about the first page, which is the narrative?
That's correct.
Okay, so at the very top it says case ID number. So the case ID number is found on the authorization that you'll receive for milestone 3. It'll have the person's name on it, and right in the middle, it'll say case ID number.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
I have another question for you. Can you please explain the meaning of employer visits again? Okay,
yeah, sure. So employer visits means you actually went out. Let's use the example of Home Goods. You actually went out to Home Goods and you job coached with that person. Or even if you didn't job coach with that person, you had a meeting, with the manager. It is you like physically going. So in opposed to the offsite hours that might be like, I had a phone call with the manager and he addressed his concerns. That's the difference in visits and like offsite hours.
Okay, Ashley, that looks like there are all the questions.
All right, I'm trying
Oh,
to.
wait,
I think we have another one. Milestone 3 is a little more complicated, I would think.
she said Jackie Johnson says the form that she's looking at on the last page of milestone 3, I have the employer's signature and the employer representative signature. And I noticed that
Okay.
yours have the employer representative signature. So should there be 2 signatures, or is it a new form, or is it the same form that we've been using?
Okay, I got you. Actually on mine, and I don't know what I'm looking at. I just have the employer's signature on there as being signed. I guess the employer representative might be like a manager down the line per se. Like for instance, we have a director of employment services and I'm the manager. So maybe I wasn't able to get in touch with the director, but the manager was able to speak on that person's behalf. That would be your employer representative signature.
Are both signatures required, or is it either or?
No. Most of the time we just get the employer signature. So the
Okay.
line.
Okay, how will we get a new form to Miss Jackie Johnson? She's gonna need a new updated form.
Okay, we thought we sent those out to our existing providers, but I'll be happy to send a new, we're talking about the milestone 3. I'll be happy to send anybody a form, especially if you shoot me an email as a reminder that you need these forms.